Happy Sunday, everyone. I got my favorite message on that says, God is still writing your story, so stop trying to steal the pen. AKA relinquish control. I just made a video about that recently. Check it out. I think it's on my shorts and on my videos, but if not shorts, it's definitely on my videos. So check it out. So I have a message that I wanted to say that just like it just won't go away. So I'm like, all right, I'll say it. And that is, I get a lot of questions throughout my life, and also especially that I publicly share a lot. Okay, you're just like seeing my reflection, so I'm gonna do this. Like, where did you learn everything you learn? Or, who did you learn from? Or who are some of your favorite influencers? Or who are some of your favorite people that you've learned from? And I just have one flat out message that pretty much answers it all, even though that question would take a good few videos to answer in depth. But in one sentence, the answer is that I do not discriminate. And what I mean by that is I do not discriminate where I get my lessons of life from. Like I said in my video, I am meditating with a Buddhist temple on a Saturday morning and I'm praising Jesus on Sunday. Like, that's how I've been my entire adulthood. No, I don't do that every single weekend. No, I don't go to church every weekend, or sometimes I miss months at a time because I'm doing isolation work that I've been called to do. So, which is on that's a whole nother thing. But anyway, because there is a time for community to dig into learning from others, etc. And there is a time for isolation and just being with God, or just being with your spirit team, or whatever spiritual guidance and divine guidance that you follow. So anyway, so that's the answer. In one sentence, is I do not discriminate. And that's the problem with, okay, so it got cut off. But anyway, the whole point is that I do not discriminate in where I get my information. I don't say, oh no, that's this church, can't listen to them. Or, oh no, that's this scientist, can't listen to them. Or, oh no, those people are witches, can't listen to them. Wait till you see my next video I've been working on. It's in my my first book, where I talk about like my witchy phase or whatever. Like, as a teenager, The Craft was one of my favorite movies ever. And Neve Campbell, actually, really, I love her for taking that role. Her entire back was covered in scars, and I had never seen anyone in the media who had scars on their body until I saw The Craft, and until I watched that movie, and she shared the depth of her pain and experiences of what that did to her. And and she was a teenager, so it aligned perfectly with everything that I struggled with as an adolescent and teenager. And I had never seen that on TV or a movie or anything like that before, because the entertainment industry only had perfect bodies back then being on any form of media, right? So anyway, but yeah, so I have a little video about that coming out soon, and just highlighting a couple things and from that time. But anyway, so that's the whole point, is that I have learned from so many different sources throughout my life that I don't discriminate in where I learn from, no matter what my faith is, no matter what church I'm going to, no matter what I'm practicing, because we are all messengers of Spirit, of God. And I don't care if people think I'm crazy or think I'm weird for saying that. So yeah, anyway. All right, well, happy Sunday. And again, stop trying to steal the pen. God's writing your story. Spirit's trying to lead you. Stop trying to be controlling. It's never going to work for you in any aspect of your life. So, all right, leaving you with that. Have a good day. Okay, I am home now, and I wanted to do a mini reading from my book, Quieting the Clock, Memoir of a Girl Facing Death and Chasing Freedom, from chapter 27, Sad Stephanie. This girl, this is 7th grade. You don't want to mess with her. She scares me. You don't want to channel her. All right, anyway. She's a little badass. But anyway, she's still deep inside of me somewhere sometimes, but she has healed a lot. So it's actually very, 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 very difficult, if not impossible, to get her out now, if that makes sense. If you do trauma work, you speak trauma language, you understand what I'm saying. So anyway, all right, page 236. Every night I begged God to show me if there were other teens out there who were sick like me. I just kept praying for God to either help me or take me home with him. I prayed this almost every night. Like, please, like, I can't say it, but Kill me. Like, please. Like, I used to beg him, take me out. Why am I here? What is the point of this? Like, I had an entire life of child abuse by multiple people. And then also just the telling that I'm not going to live very long and I'm not going to have a future is what, you know, nobody said that, but that's what not living long means. So what is the point of planning anything, right? And that's a lot about what my second book is about, which is my 20s, like late teens to 20s. And I did recently do a complete read on chapter 26 called Blackout. I did not mean to do that. I just got really into it and ended up reading y'all the whole chapter. So that's coming soon after I have some time to do some editing and all of that. But these are just randoms that I can throw up. Yeah, so chapter 26, page 223 is Blackout, and that is coming soon. That does have the like witchy stuff, the different phases that I went through. But, you know, being 40 now, it's just, you don't grow if you keep yourself in a box. And that is what I feel like is a part of what I'm supposed to tell people, a part of what I have learned in life, is that every time I keep myself in one church or one belief system or one practice of spirituality or one God or one anything. I mean, I don't necessarily believe in multiple gods, but if you do, that's awesome. Like, I don't care. However you become a person of good morals and integrity to be a contributing citizen to society that helps develop minds and teaches, even if it's your own family, like, you don't have to be out there speaking, you don't have to be writing books, you don't have, like, maybe that is not what you are called to do. If you are called to be a mother and raise your children, then do it. If you are called to be a father and stay at home, do it. If, like, you don't have to do anything what media pushes maybe sometimes as to make it or whatever. Like, this isn't making it. I'm at home in my living room, like, talking to invisible people. Like, I mean, I know y'all are real, but you know what I mean. And so anyway, me saying that, well, I'm not going to get into that right now, but the whole entire, because I want to keep this short. So the whole entire message of the day is to just push yourself a little bit and stay outside of the box for longer than you usually do. So, like, if you push yourself into something and you're like, okay, I'm going to try this. It's really scary. It's uncomfortable. It's very difficult. Maybe you're going to a different church, or you're in a different group of people, or you are considering possibilities of dating someone different, or getting a different lifestyle, moving to a new city, anything like that. Like, sit with it for a day, and then 2 days and 3 days and a week and months and however long it takes you to then, and keep praying. Like, ask God to speak to you. You will get answers. And it doesn't matter what you believe in. A lot of people have trauma with the word God, and they don't like to hear that. And that is trauma based. And also conditioning and indoctrination and all of that, which I understand logically and coming from a historical point of view, in a scientific point of view. I do understand all aspects of that. However, we are spiritual beings living a
physical embodiment of our spiritual selves. And so there's a lot to that. And I do think it is each individual's call to experience that and to teach your children that and to go on a path with yourself and or people who you feel okay to be vulnerable. When you are opening yourself up to different spiritual practices or different faiths, and you are a mother or father and or some form of a leader in the village that I talk about, if you are a mind that helps contribute to shaping children's minds, then your mind matters and the health of your mind matters. If you are a voice in society, you matter. Like how you matter anyway, no matter who you are. But I'm just saying, like, your growth and your evolution as a human being is very important. So, and the number one leaders and the number one, I don't even know what else to call it, leaders that shapes children's minds are parents. And I want to help reshape that perception of, oh, I'm a mom, I'm a dad. No, you're a leader of society. You have chosen to be a parent. That means you have chosen to teach the future human beings who are going to be running this world. That is not to be taken lightly. And I think it always has been up until the past 10 to 20 years-ish, like our generation getting older and kind of like, whoa, what the F is going on? Like, why did everybody just have kids with their high school boyfriend or girlfriend and then just call it a life? Like, no thought whatsoever of who you're reproducing with. And it's like, well, we didn't think about those things back then. You know, you hear that a lot from boomer generations and before. And it's like, okay, so that's where you guys were at that time. I get it. That's where, if that's what you were taught, or I don't really know. We're not going to get into the history of that, which comes from, you know, fathers being gone during wars and then not having fathers in the home because of that. And then mothers being single mothers and bitter single mothers. And, you know, whereas it used to be not bitter single mothers, it used to be happy single mothers that are just understanding that this is my role in society and my husband is out hunting, gathering, building, fighting for our home, our family, our life, right? And so anyway, we don't need to get into all of that, but I'm just saying, like, the whole point of getting to staying outside of the box a little bit, you're going to then push your children to stay outside of the box a little bit. And you want, well, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I shouldn't say you want anything, but I hope that you want to give your child the option of choosing their own path and their own faith. And a lot of depression, I can't say the SUICIDEIAL, whatever, ideation and thoughts and all of that. I call EOL in my videos, end of life thoughts, and trying to take our own life and things like that. You know, that comes from abuse and control, threatening behaviors, emotional, mental, physical abuse, sexual abuse, of course. I don't know if I can say that. I guess I'll find out if I get flagged. But the whole point of that is you're going to be avoiding all of that if you let your child be themselves. So I'm not going to go there. So many parents who have the gift of being a parent. This is a gift. This is a privilege. You get to have a baby. You get to have a baby. You get to grow a human being. Like, I know that so many people understand and appreciate the depth of that. So thank you for those who do. I can't. Many people can't. Many people don't have that gift. Many people don't have that option. And that's not why I'm here. Maybe I've had so many people tell me, maybe you're not supposed to be here to raise just one child. Maybe you're supposed to be here to help shape multiple minds. I know that if I was at home right now with a baby, I wouldn't be doing this. Well, maybe I would. At this age, yes, actually, I would. I just have a baby on me. But my life would be very different, and I wouldn't have the emotional or mental or physical capacity to do what I do. And I know I help a lot of people, and that is my purpose. So I don't know. It's a lot of stuff that I'm working on in my second book, because I did lose a baby when I was 19, and that entire story is in there. And that's what drove me into a completely different path of a lot of different things. And coming from a faith perspective, I come from a lot of different families, and some of those people did not think that I even have a purpose to do anything in life because I can't reproduce, because that is the purpose of a woman. I have one family member that even told me there's no reason for you to really do anything. You should be a nun, because what kind of man would ever want to marry someone who doesn't have the ability to reproduce? She said that to me at Thanksgiving when I was 18. Yeah, that's in my second book. That's burned in my brain forever. And then I had a lot of therapy after that for many years. Anyway, these are the kinds of messages that extreme religious people try to put on people, and you make people want to hurt themselves or fall into deep depressions. And that's your mental illness or trauma. That is not a teaching of Jesus. That is not a teaching of really any God or any faith that wants the best for humanity. And she went on to say, there's a lot she said, but she also went on to say, there's no purpose of me being a wife because I can't reproduce. Everything kept coming back to, I can't reproduce. That was like, that's the only thing they think women do. This is a boomer generation. This isn't like, she's not 80 years old. She's actually not even, she's on the younger end of the boomer generation. Anyway, that doesn't matter. The whole point is that it's extreme religion. It's extreme Catholicism. It is extreme indoctrination on the religious end. And what it did to me is not something that any form of love or a family would do to someone, or, want to hurt someone like that. And so, and then turn around and call it God. Well, God told me to say that. Did he? Now, just biblically speaking, I do want to highlight, and I wish I would have known this back then at 18, but I was so traumatized by what this person said to me. And then after I lost my baby, I got my tubes tied, and then some family members didn't speak to me after that for months, some of them years. Yeah, so that was interesting. So if you are interested in why I have been on the path that I have been on, that is one big reason. And also I have just seen loved one after loved one after loved one being, I'm the oldest cousin, and so female cousin. And so I have just watched so many people that I deeply, deeply love, their faith ruined, and just be hurt and traumatized and go the completely opposite end because their parents were so forceful and their parents were so like there's no logic, there's no logic. It's you are pushing your children away from faith by doing this. Why don't you know that? I just feel like, and I kind of wanted to say, like, if someone was saying, I'm going to force feed you something, well, they would understand that. They would say, no, let me choose on my own, but yet they won't apply that to their own children. And that's called narcissism, but we're not going to get into that. So, just not being able to understand that there's a difference between you as an identity and your children as an identity. And if you can't differentiate those two, and if you can't disconnect that, then that is in the family of narcissism. So I'm not going to get into that, but I do want to read a little bit. From for example, okay, there's a few different ones, but Luke 23:29 through 30, for the time will come when you will say, blessed are the childless women, the wombs that never bore, and the breasts that never nursed. A prophetic statement about future blessings for the barren. Psalms 113, he settles the barren woman in her home as a happy mother of children. God brings joy and family to the previously childless. And then Genesis 18 and Luke, stories of Sarah and Elizabeth, which I love. Lydia's my favorite, but stories of Sarah and Elizabeth who were barren but had children later in life, showing God's power of infertility, which, and then the spirituality of motherhood, and the hospitality and purpose of Lydia's life. Like, I love Lydia the most because she's a businesswoman, and she created her own community when she met Paul, and she just had like this whole, she created a home where she welcomed everyone, and she started her, like, one of my videos is started from the bottom, now we're here, and then I said, now we're where? That's in one of my videos with Alex, and but anyway, she's a businesswoman, she's a hustler, and most people know this, but The Color Purple, not the movie, but the actual Color Purple was the color of wealth, and so she sold purple fabrics to the wealthy, and that's how she made her money. And so she's a gangsta. Anyway, so I love reading about her, but anyway, I just wanted to read one thing about Lydia. Her life demonstrates that women, regardless of motherhood, have a significant role in God's kingdom through nurturing, supporting, and extending his love through spiritual motherhood. And so I've been told by so many people, like, maybe you aren't here to raise one child, like maybe you are here to be a mother of many. And the reason I love that is because it's still mom, mother of many. And I almost named a child. Whoa. That was weird. I almost named a YouTube channel that, and was like, I need to make just a whole separate channel on this. But yeah, if there's anyone else in the Bible that that I'm not mentioning, or any scriptures that you want to drop below, for women who either cannot give birth themselves from their own bodies or cannot carry, I could do surrogacy, but I still, actually, that would depend on a lot of testing and stuff like that. But I mean, I think I still can. I think I'm still good. But the whole point is I can't carry. Now there's infertility across the board, which I am not infertile. And that is women who can't have children at all from their own body from XYZ reason. And there are a lot of women in the abuse communities that I have worked with and heard countless stories of that is how they were damaged. And so that brought them to infertility. And so, there's just countless situations of how women become infertile or cannot carry for a physical illness or something, that happened, or a disability. Anyway, and so that's where I think it's very interesting that someone who preaches the word of Jesus and the walk of Jesus, that you aren't incorporating the entire disabled community. You're not incorporating women who have been horrifically abused. You're not incorporating a lot of people here who can just not have children for one reason or another. And so, again, getting back to small-mindedness and why I do not keep myself in a box and why I do not follow or support extreme religion, that's just one piece of why. Now, what I am not sharing is the countless other stories that have shaped me. And for example, many men that I have, gotten to know, to see as a potential boyfriend, or men that I have dated in the past that their families did not accept me because I could not reproduce, or I could not carry. I shouldn't say reproduce because, well, I have my tubes tied. So it's, I don't know if I can have a baby. I don't know anymore. I was pregnant when I was 19. I lost the baby, and I don't know that my body can create or go through, I don't know. I think I'm good, like I said, as far as if a baby grew in another body, but I don't know. Anyway, the whole point is that I just wanted to say that one last piece on that subject, and that is not a teaching of Jesus. That is not a teaching of what, in my personal understanding from multiple religions and what multiple people preach as, Jesus being this all-loving hippie, which I align with 100%. Everyone can come and talk to me. Everyone can tell me anything, and I'm not going to judge you. I live that. That is who I am as a person. And so if you are harshly judging people and practicing God, do whatever you want, and condemning people for who they are or things that they cannot help, such as having a disability, and then, things like that, that's trauma, okay? And so that was the other thing. I made a lot of videos and then didn't post them, teaching the differentiation between trauma and God. You're calling that God. God spoke to me and told me that, you have no reason to live. Is that what he said? Because God created me to be who I am and to beat all odds and be a miracle child that was supposed to die 100 million times and still won't die. So I think you should reevaluate that, right? And because that's trauma. I don't know where it comes from, and I don't care. That is based on that individual's personal life story, but it does need to be highlighted that there is a difference between a trauma voice and a God voice, and to do that work and to talk to a preacher or a spiritual coach or a spiritual individual who can help you enlighten different parts of yourself to then be able to disconnect the trauma part, but really be able to connect the part of you that is connected to God and disconnect the part of you that is connected to trauma, which is ego and, childhood memories and developed belief systems that have carried us through mistakes and bad decisions and, things that haven't worked out in our life. That's not God led. Some of it is because he's trying to teach us something. Or if you don't want to use he and you don't want to use God, then plug in something else. Plug in spirit, plug in ancestors, plug in spirit guides, whatever works for you. This message is for who it's for. If you are still watching me, you are absolutely supposed to be learning something from this. There are no coincidences. Or if you're watching this to judge me and make fun of me later, that's on you. Or if you're judging this in some way, or you're watching this to learn something, then thank you. Please comment below what you have learned or how I have helped you in some way, or even emojis. If you don't want to say words, emojis also help. Maybe did I strike a feeling in you that was good or bad? You can put an angry face. I understand. Anger is one of the most powerful emotions, actually. So coming from a coaching standpoint, when I work with clients who have anger issues, because I did for so long, coming up in my next videos, from Blackout, chapter 26 Blackout, of the development of my anger. I have done many years of anger management and healing through my anger and all of that. And so now that I can shift that and teach clients and help people understand the transition between disintegrating, basically is what I say, disintegrating or relaxing that part of you and channeling into a different, more a spiritual part of you. And if you don't have a spiritual part of you, that's where I kind of stopped working with clients who are not going to open up to a spiritual part of them, because I learned over the years of working with people who will not connect to a spiritual connection. I don't care what you call it, but I cannot work with people that do not have a spiritual connection or that won't open themselves up to that spiritual connection, because that is a different form of trauma and that is a different form of blockage that I'm not interested in working with at this point. I'm like, that's not what I'm called to do as a coach. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and I went on something with Lydia because I love her. So that's Acts 16 to 14, 15, where she's introduced as a worshiper of God and seller of purple cloth, whose heart the Lord opened to Paul's message, leading to her and her household's baptism and her generous offer of hospitality to the missionaries. One of those listening with Lydia from Thyatira, I don't know how to say that, a merchant of expensive purple cloth who worshiped God. As she listened to continuing Acts 16:14. Okay. As she listened to us, the Lord opened her heart as she accepted what Paul was saying. She and her household were baptized, and she invited us to her home. If you consider me a believer in the Lord, she said, come and stay at my house. And she persuaded us. And then there was another part I was going to read that was one of my favorites. I forget where it went, but anyway, so I do want to end. I'm going to go ahead and end this. And thank you for listening. If y'all are still, whoever's still hanging on, thank you. And I hope you learned something from this, or inspired from this, or maybe opened your mind to a little bit of a different perception, or considering stepping outside of the box in some way in your life, hopefully spiritually. And hopefully you can have a little more confidence in pushing yourself spiritually, whether that is in God or whether that is in Unity Church, or even if you're an atheist and you go practice, like you are in a group, like push yourself to that other realm, like that other, there's another existence outside of us, right? And that I'm not going to get into, because then that starts freaking people out. But not all atheists are completely blocked spiritually, but they have just a stuck logic, which I understand, right? So I understand logically all kinds of things. And then I also understand spiritually all kinds of things. And so that's why I'm able to help so many different kinds of people. But I had to cut the clients off that were not open to even entertaining the idea of having a spiritual connection with really anything. So, okay. So anyway, I'm going to end by reading something again about Lydia. I love her. So she was the first European convert in the Bible who opened her home, a house church for Paul. And I always wanted my own little like center. And so when I started reading about her a few months ago, I was just like, why have I never heard of Lydia before? Anyway, so opened her home, a house church for Paul and early believers, establishing a foundational Christian community. But it also refers to modern organizations like Lydia's House and Lydia's Home that provide housing and support, empowering individuals and families to build their own communities through shared resources and intentional living. So, I mean, if that's not a woman of purpose, and if that's not a person who belongs in society and who should be in the community helping shape children's minds and other minds and helping society in general, then yeah, I don't know what it is. So we're gonna end there, and just one last little note before I do my book spiel. This is Snapchat, so my face is like perfectly glowing and my skin is perfect because it's a Snapchat filter. And the reason I want to say that is for any teenagers or females watching me, or males, but really this is for females watching me, who may feel any sort of envy about my skin. It's a Snapchat filter. And the reason I'm pointing that out is because it's very important for me to, like, as a public figure, and especially as a woman in society, to teach women and girls to love themselves, see your own face, love your own face without Snapchat. And do Snapchat for fun, or do Snapchat for videos. If you're an influencer, use it. Like, it makes us glow, right? Awesome. However, be careful with getting to the other side of letting that form you into wanting to be and actually permanently change yourself into trying to look like a filter, okay? So it's important for me to just say that. I usually don't do filters anymore. I know I used to because it was a lot of fun, but I'm trying to do that a lot less, especially for my videos, because I don't like that message that is being put out. And I want the people that are watching me to know the reality of what I look like, right? And I mean, I do look like this, but it's like glow, right? They do the glow on Snapchat and the whole thing. So, yay. And I think it changes my teeth a little bit. Maybe it just whitens. I don't really know what it does. Anyway, Quieting the Clock, pick it up. Memoir of a Girl Facing Death and Chasing Freedom. This is my memoir of the first 14 years of my life. Watch out for the next video that is coming out. It's a dark one. It's based on chapter 26 called Blackout. So thanks for watching, and see you next time. Always like, subscribe, comment. Please tell anyone if this helped you in any way, in any of my shorts or videos, gave you a perception that maybe you haven't thought of or heard of before. Please share the video and encourage people to consider pushing themselves a little bit outside of the box and staying out there.
We've been waiting for so long.
So, anyway,
We've been
all right.
waiting for this time to begin. We ain't getting any older.